We weren't in studio last time you were here, were we?
Nope. Not this one. We were in the dining hall.
Yeah.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Mossberg. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
Happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy that you're happy to be here.
Thank you.
Makes it good because, boy, when you're bitchy, you're no fun to be around.
Mm-hmm. Same.
I'm never bitchy, though.
You're adorable.
I am. I try to tell people that all the time.
You are adorable.
With us today from the great city of Iowa Park,
Yes, sir.
a teacher there, or an educator,
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Erin Nimetz. How are you doing?
I'm great.
So, you teach probably the most interesting class of any teacher that I know of.
Absolutely do.
It's kind of a morbid deal, but it's a cool thing. You teach a forensics class in high school.
I do.
And the kids, and you've been on here before with us. You had a post the other day. Did you have some parents doing something? Or
I was at the Wichita County Sheriff's Office. I don't know if that's the one you were
that's
talking
what
about.
I was talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were doing some kind of schooling or working or what's going on. Or
Yeah, so as educators, you have to have hours of professional development.
Oh, right.
And, you go to Region 9 or wherever. Well, they don't offer anything that covers what I teach.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm always on the hunt for places I can go that I can get, good information that I can pass on to my kids. So this opportunity came up through Region 9, and I think it's North Texas Workforce Solutions. And they do they call it an externship. And they match you with a company or an organization, and you go work for them for like 30 hours. And then you write a lesson plan, you bring them out and have them guest speak for your class, and then you get a stipend at the end. So I was paired with the Wichita County Sheriff's Office, and I was able to spend 3 days with them. I'm actually going to go on Monday to do another ride-along, but they were fantastic. I was able to, pick their brains, and I got attacked by Mr. T, the dog.
Oh, you did? You put on the bite suit?
I did.
How was that?
What was that like?
Oh.
I've wanted to do it.
Yeah, it was a little unnerving,
I could see why.
And I posted one picture, and
What's it? Is it a Bella Malinois or is it a German Shepherd or
it was a
the Malinois?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Land
They're
shark.
not quite as big, are they?
They're fast though.
They,
Yeah.
yeah. And there was a picture of I was standing there in the bite suit, and Lieutenant Penny, the handler, he was standing there with Mr. T, and Mr. T was locked in on me. I thought, I'm not going to look at you in the eyes. I'm not going to look at you in the eyes.
Did you take off running?
No, I am so thankful that he kept him, 4 feet away and just let him go at 4 feet
Bite
because
ya.
I mean, just at 4 feet, I was knocked off balance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That bad?
Yeah, it was wild.
What, did he get you and hold you down?
He got my arm.
He just pulls you down.
And no, I mean, I had to kind of move my arm back and forth to give him that
Yeah.
satisfaction of,
Right.
of it. And he hung on until Lieutenant Penny told him to let go.
They say that's like the number one deterrent among criminals is like you can say we're going to tase you, we're going to mace you, and like you're always going to get some level of resistance, but it's almost universal. We're going to send the dogs in. People start acting right.
Yeah.
Like they come out with their hands
Yeah.
up.
And one thing that I learned, which was really fascinating, because I love dogs and
Yeah.
I appreciate dogs, and I really appreciate those working dogs way more than I did before. But we went out, I was able to do canine training with them for the day. And we took them out to just a field kind of out behind the sheriff's department. And one of the other officers walked through and made like a track and threw a toy out in the woods. And he came back, and I said, we haven't given him anything to smell. Like, how does he know? He said, they don't smell human scent. They smell disturbed earth.
Oh, really?
And so as he walked, he was smelling the disturbed
earth.
And that's why they don't want a ton of people going out before the dog and the handler.
Because you're going to stir up more of the earth, and it's going to be harder for him to get a trail. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
In our business, we're around working dogs, but they're hunting dogs. But the noses that a dog has is absolutely amazing. I mean, you go to an airport, they're sniffing luggage. I mean, it's just amazing how good dogs. They got dogs that can smell cancer, supposedly.
And blood sugar.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy what a dog. And that's what makes me mad about the people that's got these service dogs that are fake service dogs. If you got a legit reason, but just because Fifi don't want to be at home while you go to the casino, that does not make her a service dog.
Are they just smelling for gunpowder at the airports now? But they're not smelling for drugs.
I think there's different kind of dogs do different things.
Absolutely.
Because our game warden flew somewhere, and at the airport it hit on his luggage, but it's the same luggage, or it's hit on his clothes or something, but he had done training, so he had gunpowder residue on him. And they asked him, they said, "Are you law enforcement?" And he said, "Yes, I am." And they said, "Okay, well, you can go."
Have you never had to have your finger swiped? I had to do that. One of my bags, I had me and Michelle were somewhere, and one of my bags had been at the lodge. I've got guns shoved around, same stuff. And they made me, they asked him if I'd used around any black powder. I said, yeah, I'm in the hunting business. I said, I don't have no shells in there, but I'm sure I have. They made me swab my fingers.
Oh, really?
To do some kind of gunpowder residue. I mean, he's okay, you can go.
It's just amazing, like, because dogs get so distracted at times, and like for them to be locked in all the time, and to when they're working, to totally disregard any other scent of another dog, of another person that smells weird, and only while they're at work and they got that vest on, they're only sniffing for whatever they're looking for.
Yeah.
And then it's just, I'm assuming, I've never been around a service animal when they're off duty, but I'm assuming they're just like a regular dog and sniffing other dogs' asses and everything else. But when they're at work, they're just locked in, and it's crazy that they can get them locked in for that amount of time.
I'm sure there's some dogs that bite cops too, though, that are police dogs. I'm sure they've gotten the wrong person a few times, because if you notice, usually that guy's got them on a tight deal unless he has to let go of them.
Right.
Like, you imagine your partner's dog getting on your ass. I can't say. I got bit by a dog one time. I mean, really legitimately bit one time by a dog, and I don't want no part of that crap.
No, the receiving end of that with a bite suit was
enough.
Good enough.
Oh, do you remember when they had live PD on? It's one of the damn things COVID killed. That was a great show.
It was.
And because it showed the true meaning of a police officer. It showed the bad and the ugly that the cops have to see in a day. You know, and instead of portraying them as bad people were like, whoa, these guys got really horrible jobs. But there was one of those shows, they had a dog got after a guy. And that guy's leg was in that dog's mouth, around just above his ankle, and that dog was gnawing, his blood gnawing down. And that cop said, "Quit moving, quit moving." I can't quit moving. He's biting me. Get him off, please. I'll do whatever you want to. I'll tell you, my mama sells drugs. Just let that dog off of me.
Going back to people seeing like the good, bad, and ugly of law enforcement life. If you get a chance, anybody listening, if you get a chance to do a ride along, just go ask and do it. I did one this last week. I'm doing another one on Monday, and it's really opens your eyes to everything that they are having to deal with.
They have the shittiest job in America. They do. And the shittiest person that has that job is a black police officer, because they rip on in the black neighborhoods. They're so disrespectful. I mean, people are disrespectful to police officers anyways. But a black cop in a black neighborhood, I feel so sorry for. I mean, they get the stuff they hear. It's a horrible job. But that's all you see is the cop that's rough on some lady at a stoplight or something, or tells her to do something. If you comply with the police officer, and there are some asshole cops out there. I mean, I was a judge for a long time, but 99.9% of them are great guys. But you don't know what they'd seen right before they got to your call. You know, they got to come over and somebody's fighting over a can of Vienna sausages. I mean, they get some stupid ass calls.
Absolutely. We faced some of those just the other day.
Yeah. And they're like, what a waste of time to have to call law enforcement. But when they get to that call and they're not real patient with people, well, you don't realize maybe they had an incest call with a 5-year-old little girl and her uncle or something. I mean, you don't know what they went through, because they see the worst of the worst, and everybody lies to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens all the time.
So what's the protocol when you're on the ride along? You do like a routine trap. Do you get to get out of the car? You get to see the call come across, I guess? Yeah. So the day kind of when I just got in with Deputy Ferguson, Madison Ferguson, and I just ran traffic with her until she would get a call through the radio, and then we'd go. And it happened to be, it was always in Iowa Park.
We went to Iowa Park probably 3 times that day. But
and that's your hometown.
Yeah. Well,
That's where
I
you
teach.
live.
Yeah.
I mean, teach, yes.
Yeah. And God, talk about people wasting time.
Right.
They called out. We went out to the house, and the lady that called in wasn't even there. Nobody was there. And so they called her, and she said, "Oh, well, I'm at work." Okay, well, why?
Why'd you call the cops?
Yes.
Did you know anybody that you had to?
No,
You don't have to mention no names, but did you know anybody?
I didn't know anybody personally, but we went out on a call on a lady that I had heard her name before in the news.
Oh.
And
right.
so I was able to see some of that.
Now, I used to do some ride-alongs sometimes. What's good about it is from back in the old days when I did it, when using the car, you just sat by yourself and that was the end of it. Nowadays, you can hear their
Yeah.
You can hear their mic, and even I don't know if they've got them fixed up now where you can even see the camera if they're doing the camera over their computer.
I didn't see that.
Okay, they may not do that technology, but you can hear over it though, so it makes a lot of difference because you know what's going on.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, he's lying to her. He's full of shit. That ain't what happened.
One of our guys did a ride along. He's got a friend that's a highway trooper in the state that he lives in. He's like, you can ride, everything's good, but he said, insurance won't cover you in a high-speed chase. So if we get in a high-speed chase, I've got to dump you off on the highway somewhere. He's like, I'll try to come back for you. But he was like, well, that kind of sucks. That's the whole reason I'm here. I wanted to see this thing, get up to 120 or something, chase him on the highway. He's like, insurance won't let you. So we're just going to have to kick you out real quick.
Well, during our canine training, they did get a high priority call, and they called everybody out. And I just happened to be in the car.
Yeah.
And we flew from Wichita Falls to Iowa Park.
Oh, wow.
And then back to, we had to go back to the ER. And I mean, we flew.
Booked it?
I don't think I've
ever driven that fast legally?
Yeah. Yeah.
How fast was y'all going?
I looked, it was over 100, 102, I think, at one point.
I rode in an old Crown Vic police car, and we had a call, and I was a ride along. And we got up to, I don't know how fast we were going, but that car was shaking. Like you seen these plane crash videos where they just shake real bad and you're like, oh, they're fixing to fall apart. That's what I thought. I thought there was going to be Chevy parts all over the road. I was scared to death on the car ride. I was more scared of that than anything. I was almost to the point like, why don't you just let me out? I mean, I'll call somebody to come get me. I'm 5 miles from my house. Or I'll walk.
The scariest part was like watching the other people. They just pull out and pass, not even paying attention to anything. Like, pull over.
Yeah, it's crazy how oblivious people are.
Yeah. Yeah. It was wild.
Even on like that, the freeway going through Wichita Falls, like, what is it, 3 lanes?
No,
the major one.
Slow it on Kale where you go 60 miles an hour. It's terrible.
But nobody scoots over. Like you're supposed to give them 1 lane courtesy or whatever. And half the time people just stay right next to them. They don't slow down. And I mean, I wonder what the statistic is of officers getting hit just during a routine traffic stop.
Oh, you mean when they're on the side of the road?
Just,
it happens more than you think.
People not paying attention, just plow into a police officer. I'll look it up. But so with your curriculum, do you try to like introduce new cases? Because we got this Brian Koberger thing in Idaho.
Yeah.
I've been following along very closely to that. So do you have like a set curriculum that you'll like look at forensics cases, and then like do you have a little bit of leeway when something big like this happens to introduce that into your course?
Yeah, so that's the fantastic thing about all the courses that I teach. I teach anatomy and physiology as well because my master's really is in biology. So I studied the ocelot and the bobcat, their bone structure, and that was my master's thesis. So I'm really more of a science anatomy person.
Right.
And then I had a chance to teach this class. So a lot of this is self-learned. But that's the beauty of the 2 classes that I teach. We're not state tested. I do have TEKs that I have to go by, but if the kids are really interested in one certain thing, then I can spend more time on that. And that inevitably happens. So a lot of times when we're, just working on things in class, I'll leave court TV on, live court cases.
Are they televising the Brian Koberger? Are they televising
They were
that
supposed to, I think. But now that he accepted the plea.
I saw the end of it when the judge was talking.
I didn't get to see it.
My thought that there was something very unprofessional about that case, and I couldn't figure out what it was. But when I just watched the end of it, I was like, something just didn't seem right. I don't think there's any conspiracy or anything like that. It just something was not handled the way probably it should have been. But and I understand where the family gets to. If that was they were all girls that got killed, right?
And a boy.
One
Was a
boy.
One boyfriend.
If my kid got killed by that guy, I'd want to put a bullet between his freaking eyeballs. That's just the bottom line to the whole deal. Any parent's probably going to be that way. But the guy got, what, 3 or 4 life sentences concurrent? He's going to rot in hell, and he's going to be miserable. He's 22, 23 years old, maybe. Is he mid-20s? Whatever he is. But, I mean, his whole life is in jail. But from a state of Idaho deal, put a bullet in his head and be into it. There's a guy they just...
money.
Yeah, they put a guy to sleep in Mississippi the other day. 50 years. $5 million. $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
What a waste of resources.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why any state would just, we're going to give him a life sentence. They should put him to sleep. I don't understand where we got to the point where if you kill someone, you get 10, 20 years. I mean, you see people, like if you watch, is it 48 Hours, where they've got 48 hours, which I really like that show to solve a case.
Oh, yeah.
How many of those people that are murdering people,
First
48, have already killed somebody or something? Well, he had a murder charge. He served 10. You got 10 years for killing someone? What's somebody's life worth?
Right.
So they ought to put that guy to sleep.
28.
He was 28 years old. Yeah. I mean, so if he lives, the average lifespan 77 years, 78,
a long time.
50 years he's going to serve in prison. And it's just, what a waste of resources.
They said he was so tired by the time he finally got to the boyfriend that he sat down in a chair and just like took a break before he killed the boyfriend that was passed out in the bed. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Just drip, because they could tell, I guess he had so much blood on him. And there was an imprint in the chair that was in the bedroom, and all this blood.
Oh, like a void.
That was from him.
Yeah.
And he just sat there. And he finally killed him, and then he carved some shit in his leg.
Wow.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. It's just crazy. But I guess he was targeting one girl. He had one girl in mind.
And then they were all there.
And then they were kind of all there, and he just kind of, plans changed, and he just started stabbing everybody.
It's crazy.
But what's weird, I guess one girl came down and saw him. But I guess, I don't know if he didn't realize that she saw him, because he was wearing a mask, I think, if the details are right. But she heard something going on when it was happening and didn't call 911 until the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched it. All I did was watch.
She heard a commotion
closing
downstairs. She came down, saw a man in a mask, and then went back upstairs and then went to bed. And then the next morning, they couldn't get into a roommate's room or something like that. Thought she was passed out or hit her head, whatever. And then they thought she was just alcohol poisoning or something like that.
Can you imagine being so stupid? You see a guy in your house with a mask on that's not supposed to be there, and you don't, unless that's a party house where there are people coming and going all the time.
There
may have been,
they had a lot of men come through the outdoors,
alcohol and whatever else.
Typical
involved.
college type kids, but still, you would think that you would see a mask on. We got to use some common freaking sense.
Sober up pretty quick.
Yeah, just like if you see a guy wearing a robe and he's got a backpack on, you better watch him, see what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just common freaking sense.
And I don't know. I listened to the 911 call, and that was a little bit... I was kind of pissed off at the 911 dispatcher. She was not very helpful.
Cordial?
Not at all. I'll try to pull up the audio file.
And didn't she have to borrow a phone or something?
I think
Seemed like there was
she was pissy that they were passing the phone around, and Idaho 911 call. Let's see if I can find it. But I don't know. That the 911 dispatcher was not very helpful.
Well, you looked at him, Coach. So you have a very, very good superintendent or principal that's enabled this. Because is there any other schools in Wichita County doing this?
They do teach it, but a lot of things that I do in my class, no other district allows.
I think that's the best education you can have doesn't have to be in a classroom.
Yeah.
Like I have little kids come out here and hunt with their grandpas, 8, 9, or their dads. They'll be 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Those kids are going to learn. Now, they're probably going to hear something they probably shouldn't hear, but they're going to hear that stuff anyways with the phone and iPad. But there's a lot of education getting to hang out with your grandpa and go hunting for a couple of days, or to go fishing or go to the lake with your I mean, there's a lot of education that these kids today need outside of getting out of that damn house.
So a couple of things that I do that I know other districts don't let their teachers do. I know WFISD won't let their teachers do this. I'm a hunter, and so anytime I'm able to go out and shoot a pregnant sow, I save the babies. I freeze them. And then in the spring, we have a body farm, and the kids get to go out, and we go every day to look at the pigs. We set them We hang one. We put one in water. Like I go to Gordon Lake and get lake water and pour it in the bucket in the ground. And the kids get to watch these pigs decompose, and they get to see the stages of maggots and the insect activity. Until you see it, hear it, smell it, you can look at a diagram all day long and see the life cycle of a fly. But until you hear it, see it, smell it happening, it really doesn't impress on you, How
long have you been doing this?
Oh, gosh. I've been teaching 25 years.
How long have you been doing this body farm stuff?
I don't know, 6.
I'll bet you. So those kids you've got some kids in their mid-20s now that took this class. I'll bet you if you went to them today and said, what's the most educational, interesting class you took all in high school, every one of them's going to say your class, because that's true learning.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's kind of like dissecting an animal. I wish I would have taken school a lot more serious than I did instead of jacking around all the time. But like in biology too, they would dissect a cat.
And we do that in anatomy.
That's learning. That's real learning. A lot better than looking at a book. So that is so interesting.
And we do an arson unit as well, where I have the kids gather materials. I have most of the wood, and we build in class for a week. We build 2 by 2 by 2 structures. That's their maximum. And they have to write a story about an arson event, and then they can build their structure however they want to build it. But it's like wood shop in my class for a week. And some kids that have never used a drill, like they're learning how to change a drill bit in forensic science. And that's okay. And I'm so thankful that my administration lets me do it, because they may not learn it anywhere else. And then after we build our structures and we have our stories written, we go out to the west parking lot, we call the fire department, and we burn them.
That would be awesome. And I bet kids love that too.
They do. They do.
How many kids want to get in your class don't get into it a bunch?
I don't know that. I think they typically, however many kids want to take the class, they try to open up that many sections. Last year I had 3 sections. So
That's amazing. I had a gentleman that hunted with me 30 years ago that was a teacher in Minnesota, and he taught outdoors. His class was outdoors. He would teach kids to shoot a gun, hunt, fish, trap, skin. They did it all. And that was his job as a teacher.
Oh, I love it.
And today you can't, there's very few places that have that. But he was in a small town in Minnesota, and it was good because some kids were learning skills. Kind of like ag class.
Yeah.
Ag class, if you're going to, ag class, every kid should take ag. I mean, and everybody's like, well, I don't want to be a farmer. You don't have to be a farmer. You can learn to weld. Things that you'll later on in life you'll be glad you did.
How to change a drill bit? Do that in ag.
Change your drill bit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going to need to know that. If you're a dude and you're going to get married, you better know how to change a drill bit before you get in front of your missus. You know what I mean? You don't want her doing it for you.
Or change a tire.
Or change a tire. But like our math teacher lied to us, because they swore to me in 2005 I would not have a calculator in my pocket whenever I needed to do this bullshit, whatever it is. And guess what? It's right here.
And that's sad because kids today can't add.
That's okay. We don't need to. I got a calculator right here. It might take me a little bit longer to get to the solution, but I'm going to have it.
That's one thing when we do the arson build, like I have to, and measurement, there's a lot of measurement in my class too, because we're sketching crime scenes and things like that. And I have to sit down, everybody get your ruler out, and let's talk about how to read a ruler. But,
Do you know how to read a ruler?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm
just asking.
I'm a carpenter, so I tape measure.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, but that's not a dumb question. You ask a kid how to tell a watch on a watch like this time. My granddaughter, now Reese can in a heartbeat, but Dylan, she got a watch for Christmas. Where's your watch?
Digital?
No, that was our mistake.
Oh.
I was like, where's your watch at? I can't use it. What do you mean you can't use it? I don't know how it works. I said, they didn't teach you how to tell time on that deal? Well, yeah, you just look at your phone. It tells you what time it is. I said, you bring your watch over here, or when you time, I'll show you from my watch. It's a very simple task. It's not hard to do.
Times 5.
But it's just crazy that kids today, but doing math is crazy. I went to McDonald's the other day. I never pay cash, and I know why now.
Oh, they can't count it back.
No. That'll be $13.62. Give her a 20. You see the smoke coming out of her ears and stuff. Her machine was down or something. And she was trying. Well, she was all like, I said, ma'am, I'll tell you what. just give that to Ronald McDonald's house. You know, I'm gonna sit here for all day waiting for $6.38.
Give me a 5. We'll call it good.
But just do not. They do know how to do all that stuff. All right, back to the class. So you teach the dead body stuff, basically. Have you ever had a kid in class that has had to go through this in his personal life?
Let me think about that. Not necessarily death, and seeing it, but maybe assault type cases. And that's kind of a disclaimer at the beginning of class. You know, if there's ever any topics that I'm going over that's disturbing to you personally, please just come talk to me and we'll figure something out for you to do. But I also, I have pictures from closed cases from the Dallas PD, and there's lots of pretty gruesome pictures. And I kind of do the same thing. If the pictures are too hard, just put your head down or ask me to leave or whatever.
That's reality, though.
It is.
I had a magistrate. The two things I remember the two worst things I ever do as a judge one time is we had a child that had been killed and had a file, and I had to sign some paperwork on it. And I'm a small town judge. I'm not no damn district federal judge. I mean, nothing like that. And it was the first time I had to do anything like that. And I had them pictures, and I did not like that. And it was just a bad deal. And then I had to deal with a kid who watched his grandpa get stabbed and another guy get stabbed. 8-year-old kid, and I had to be in there for that and listen to him tell a story. I thought, boy, life sucks. I mean, for a lot of kids, they do. Or for an adult, don't want to see that shit. But for an 8-year-old kid, can you imagine he's had him the rest of his life?
Yeah,
that's hard to process.
It is.
So I didn't know if you'd had anybody in your class that had to deal with any of that at a personal deal.
Like I said, a couple of assault.
But nothing. So that's a good thing then.
Yeah.
That's my aunt that's dead right there. That's her body right there.
We're talking about her case. Yeah, that'd be tough. I think I got the 911 thing pulled up.
911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
She has that.
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Sorry,
and are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check. But we have to.
She gets real bitchy here.
So far, she's not done nothing wrong.
That way.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's when they saw all the blood.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
To talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them.
Want to get it now and tell me when you have it?
Maybe she wasn't as bad as I thought.
I don't think she done nothing wrong. I mean, you're dealing with.
Okay.
She's got to let the police officers know, and until she gets an address, and she's typing, And she's typing it. They don't have to call. I think everybody thinks they have to get on the phone and call somebody on the radio. When she's typing that's going right to that cop's computer.
That wasn't as bad as the first time I listened to it. First time I listened to it, I was like, boy, she's not showing any compassion. But it's a college town, and she didn't think that 4 kids just got butchered in a house. She just thought somebody's drunk and passed out. And
fentanyl.
Here we go. They're passing the phone around. So she didn't see what they saw. So I think I just knew how gruesome the case was, and then I'm like, boy, she's not showing any compassion here. But they're not telling her that my friends are hacked up here. They're saying this girl's passed out in bed and she got too drunk last night. So she's probably just annoyed that, here we go, another college incident.
Is she breathing? No. Instead of like, no, she's freaking blood all over. She's been murdered. I mean, you don't. That kid acted like it was
no big deal.
Yeah,
no
she
big deal.
passed out in bed.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought if I was listening from the outside.
Yeah,
I was thinking fentanyl was what I'd been thinking. Another damn kid's taking drugs or fentanyl and.
For sure. And that was one thing that I learned on the ride. Like, why can't people give more details?
They're afraid to incriminate themselves.
Yeah.
That's
I guess
exactly
so.
why.
Well,
like, you have a murder in the street somewhere and nobody sees nothing. I mean, at all. And then, you get them off to the side a little bit. Shit, I know who did it, but I ain't saying, And it's, but nobody wants to get involved. Because we've accepted it so much.
Yeah.
I'll bet you, I don't even have a clue because I haven't looked today, but I bet if you look at Smash the Topic, which is a Facebook page and Instagram in Dallas, are you familiar with it?
I'm not.
They have, everything goes on in Dallas. In Fort Worth. Matter of fact, they've quit going to Fort Worth because Dallas has been such a shithole lately. But every day, there's a double shooting, a triple shooting, a shooting. Now, what amazes me is how bad of shots these people are. But because they don't kill near the people you would think. Because when I think someone getting shot, I think of them dying. Mm-hmm. And it's quite the opposite. But every day, if you look at Smash, I'm going to look right now, and I'll bet you that something happened. But we've just become so
used to, immune to it.
It's because it's every freaking day. And we don't, and then it's just one town.
And this is why I'm usually packing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, that's.
Okay, here we go.
Everywhere.
Yesterday, shooting on Town Creek. Cedar Hill PD chase suspect this location. Shots fired at officers. Suspect shot. Let's see what else we got here. This is just in the last 24 hours. Maybe only one shooting yesterday. Oh, nope. Here we go. Shooting on Camp Wisdom.
It'll be busy tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Man shooting, taking it to, but it's all the time. I mean,
in Savannah, I think they had 3 people shot yesterday in a mall. Savannah, Georgia, I think.
Well, that I think it's the Redbird Mall. I think it's in South Oak Cliff in Dallas. A guy had a cookie place there, and he had a restraining order. That's how good restraining orders are on his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. She shot him in the head at the damn mall and killed him the other day.
How long do cases take to I'm trying to think of the word, where you can get the case file? Like with this Kohberger case, will they ever release all of the evidence that they had?
Gosh, I would think that would depend on the judge.
Right.
I'm not sure.
But I wonder if it's 10 years, if it's 5 years, if it's 1 year. What are some of the cases that you look at in your curriculum for?
Oh. Well, I always go over the OJ Simpson case.
Okay. With that, what do you just pull the photos and the evidence from the internet, or is there a source that you can go to and get what they actually submitted as evidence in the case?
You can, a lot of times, if you'll Google search OJ Simpson case and then site:/.gov, it'll pull up FBI files, anything that the government has on it. And a lot of times they'll have court cases. And you can, it's tons of documents that you have to read through.
Yeah.
But
Are you asking how long it is until it's public record?
Yeah, like with this Kohberger case.
It'll probably be public record as soon as it's over.
But what do they show? Do they show everything? But since it didn't go to trial,
I still bet
how does that work?
It's still got to be public record, I would think. There may be some things that are redacted, but I'll bet you that the case file will all be on a computer somewhere.
Right. So you just type in just the .gov, and then anything that the feds had, it's there for public consumption.
Yeah, any governmental,
Unless a senator or congressman or somebody like that's involved, and then they'll cover the shit up for 100 years.
What's crazy is, because I tried to do that with the whenever they had the big JFK release. it's like 10,000 documents, and half of it, more than half of it, 90% of it was nothing. And it's all in legal type.
Jargon.
So you're trying to decipher what.
There's a guy writing a book on that right now. I saw on Fox or something the other day, was listening to it, and he is going through and he's going to make it. He's going to dummy version it up for
He's
people
going
like
to
me.
have to, because I tried. And like with that massive amount of information, there's like 1,200 links that you can click, or like 1,200 different pages. So it's kind of just a shot in the dark of you clicking on the right page, and then it's 50 documents in each page, and it's like, okay, well, let me click on this, and then it's one little paragraph of nothing. It's like, okay, on to the next one. So I don't know how. The OJ case.
I knew you was going to bring this up because I saw something about it yesterday.
Oh, I am fascinated with the
Do you
OJ
think
case.
the son did it? That's the big gossip deal right now, is that his son did it.
No.
His son was like 7 or 8 years old. No, he had the older son.
Had the older son.
Have you seen? Did you read that too? They think that he's the one that killed her.
No,
I still don't think that's.
I think OJ killed her.
If there is an OJ documentary about that time, I'm watching it. I don't care how many times I've heard about the case. I've seen the one that ESPN did. They did one on Netflix. I've seen them all.
I don't see the big fascination with it.
I am a sucker for an OJ trial.
From a forensic science teacher's point of view, we can learn so much from that case, because there's First Amendment rights in that case.
Horrible prosecution.
Yes, there's cross-contamination on evidence. It's unreal the things that we can talk about just in that one case.
Well, the police really bungled it.
Yeah.
I mean, because they've got blood samples that had a high level of a preservative in it. So that would suggest
Taint the blood.
that it's tainted and that it could have been planted. You had just the whole thing. You had Rodney King that happened, and then they painted Furman as a racist cop, and then they brought something that shouldn't have been on the jury's mind, but they were able to plant the seed that Furman had an axe to grind with OJ, and that's why they found the glove at Rockingham. It's just the whole thing.
You know why they won?
Because of
Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran won that deal. He was a magnificent attorney.
Well, the prosecutor made OJ try on the glove.
Yeah, and that was, I think they made him come off of some of his medications.
His arthritis medicine.
So he'd swell a little bit.
His hands would be swollen.
And anytime a leather glove is going to be soaked in blood, it's going to shrink
It was
a little bit.
terrible by the prosecution, but Johnny Cochran was an excellent attorney, and he played the race card to it. The race card is not as powerful now as it used to be.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think it's like the woke. It's played out. But at that time, it was just starting to go, and they went through the Rodney King stuff, like you said, and he played that up.
Well, and they got a
white racist cop, and
they got to change a venue too, didn't they?
They absolutely did, and that was a big deal because they put it down near downtown,
right?
Which there was a higher percentage of minorities.
Right.
There.
They went to the ghetto with it. Let's go ahead and say it. They went to the ghetto with it, which was smart.
But if they'd have tried it in Beverly Hills or wherever, they'd have got a primarily white jury, and their racism card wouldn't have played as well.
But we went through pleading the fifth.
Yeah.
Mark Furman is a perfect example of that, and we watched that part. There's a Dateline, I think, over OJ, and I show it every year, and that part, the kids are like, oh my gosh.
What do you ever ask the kids, like, okay, what do you think? What would be your verdict if you're sitting on this jury?
We do that.
What do the kids say?
A lot of times it's kind of split.
Is it?
But I also have to now, in the last couple of years, I have to tell them who OJ Simpson is.
Isn't that crazy though?
So crazy.
That doesn't surprise me.
But now, if I remember correctly, Furman takes the fifth the second time he takes the stand. But from what I had heard is if you're going to take the fifth, you have to take the fifth to every question.
And thereafter, he did.
If you answer a single question without saying I plead the fifth, then you are subject to interrogation. Right?
Right.
Like you can't just cherry pick which questions you're going to answer to.
Yeah,
it's either you're going to take the fifth to everything, or you answer a question and then we got you for our line of questioning. So they knew that, and they had Furman kind of over a barrel because, okay, he's going to plead the fifth to everything. Have you ever planted evidence? I choose to invoke my Fifth Amendment right. But he knows he can't answer, Because if he answers, then they're just going to hit him with everything, and you gotta be forthcoming then.
LAPD and sheriff's office both had a horrible reputation, because I've got some gentlemen that hunt with me that are black that are from LA, and these guys salt of the earth dudes, and he's told me more than once, telling stories about things about, listen, as a black man, I don't want to get pulled over in Los Angeles. He goes, it's terrible. They'll beat my ass. And this is a guy that would never, these people, that's not something that they would, that legitimately, they have a real issue back then in LA in the 60s and 70s and the 80s with the cops, and a lot of racism. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there wasn't every one of them, but I'm sure they had some issues. And that was played off by it, and they built that up too. Yeah. Because remember it was the Rodney King deal where they pulled the truck driver out and beat the hell out of him.
Mm-hmm. The riots.
And then they had the riots, and the Korean guys had their guns on the roof and shit. And it's just, that was a powder keg going on, and then the OJ deal just added right to it.
Mm-hmm. But how did they tear apart Cato Kaling's testimony? Because Cato Kaling says that he was sitting in his house, he feels a thump on the side of his house, and then that's where Furman found the glove. So that would corroborate. Cato Kaling and Furman would kind of put two and two together that this is where OJ came over the fence, fell into Cato Kaling's wall, and then he dropped his glove out of his pocket. So how did they even dismantle Cato Kaling? Just that he was a freeloader?
I guess. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Just living off OJ.
But
living there.
the newest documentary on Netflix about the OJ trial, there was blood from OJ, Nicole, and the other fella,
Ron Goldman,
all over OJ's house.
On the sock.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
It was in the Bronco, and somehow none of it. And that's even funny because I don't know if you've seen the one.
There was blood in the Bronco.
Yeah, on the Bronco, in the Bronco.
Wasn't it on the handle?
On the handle. It's in the car where he was driving, but they're saying that it was all planted. Or no, it wasn't admitted. If you watch the one on Netflix, it's got the lead detective that was on it, and he's going over all the pictures and the evidence, and then Netflix it pings up. This was not admitted into court. This was not admitted into court.
Why would they not admit that into court?
Johnny Cochran kept it out, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't understand why they still the prosecutors done a terrible job. Marsha Clark, and what was the black guy's name?
Chris.
Chris
Darden.
Chris Darden. Yeah, they done a horrible job. I wonder what they ended up doing with their life. I'm surprised she's a CNN analyst, probably.
Yeah, she's
a major
she's doing
attorney.
so. She's not practicing law, I don't think.
Oh, she's not?
I don't think so.
I think he's a defense attorney, if I remember correctly.
Well, he was bad.
Probably making way more money.
They were terrible.
No.
I think there was also a lot of issue with evidence collection. They go in and they throw a blanket over the victims, and then there ends up being cross-contamination, hair and fibers, and there was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Because that's how they because she had OJ's hair on her, and the detectives threw a blanket over Nicole because it became a media frenzy across the street, and they're taking pictures of Nicole with her throat slit open. So we got to cover this up. We can't have. They were worried about evidence getting out to OJ, and then OJ knowing how to answer certain questions about certain things that he shouldn't have known about unless he was there. So let's put a blanket over her. Has OJ ever been in this house? Yes, he has. It's OJ's house. Could OJ's hair have been on this blanket that you put on Nicole Brown Simpson? Well, yeah, it's possible. I rest my case. No more questions.
OJ was a very powerful man too. People. I'm not talking about physically. I meant in that group in LA. He was loved by. He was one of America's most loved kids.
He crossed racial lines
big time. He was not a black guy. He was more of a white guy.
Yeah.
He hung out with white people mostly, other than celebrities. He even makes a comment in that car about what are all these black people doing in Brentwood. Yeah. And that's not the word he used, but that's what he's. He become black as he got to become a victim, or when he thought he was a victim of this fake deal, which we all lie. Then he become more of a black guy where he was using that race card also. But he was loved by everybody in Hollywood.
He was,
He was up for a big movie role too that someone else got after this, and I can't remember what it was. But he was the Hertz guy. Was he not on a
Naked Gun?
Yeah. Was he not on a flight to Indianapolis and had to fly back home?
He was.
He
He flew to Chicago.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he flew to Chicago.
Okay, I knew that he went somewhere.
And there was even somebody at the airport that saw him deposit something in the trash. Mm-hmm. And then they never were able to.
Not trash. Wasn't even a story until then, though. I mean, you wouldn't have been able to. Nobody knew nothing to go gather that evidence till a week or two later.
No, but they didn't even let the guy that saw it. They wouldn't even let him present his testimony of what he saw. They kept that out of the court.
Who?
Watch the Netflix documentary.
I don't want to watch it, but I'm just.
It's 3 episodes. It is fascinating.
I don't care about.
But they got the guy that saw him deposit it at the.
No, I'm just asking who didn't let him. The prosecutor should have had him on.
They didn't let. It was not admissible in court.
Why?
I don't know why, but
you watched the documentary.
It doesn't give a reason as to why It just said they did not allow him to testify in court. It doesn't give the legalese of it all.
I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm sure Johnny Cochran threw a fit and was like, "Well, it's all hearsay."
The day that he got, when the verdict was read, I was at a little lake over here, and I remember pulling. I'd been in Wichita for the night. I came home. I stopped there to see if there's any ducks or geese on it. It was in October, so it's probably ducks. And I'm just looking around, and I was listening to it on the radio. Everybody was. I listened to it. When that ended, I didn't give 2 shits about the deal anymore. I didn't really care about the trial anyways. I thought he was guilty from once it was found out. Now I was mesmerized with the Bronco chase.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
I remember watching that on live happening. On TV.
I watched it and we went to Cheyenne Cattle Company that night, or Stetson's, whatever it was that night, because I think it was on a Thursday night or something. But I remember watching that before. And hell, we're waiting to go out and shit. We sat around a bunch of guys for 2 hours watching this before we went to the bar, wanting to see what was going to happen.
There's just so many layers to it, and that's why I think it's so fascinating. Is there's just so much going on in this case, from the slow speed chase to the racial environment to the police corruption in L.A. and the shitty collection of evidence that they did. And
then you can talk about, in my class, you talk about the state trial versus the civil trial.
Right.
And, he was acquitted on the state trial, but then you go to the civil suit.
Yeah.
And he was found guilty.
Different jury.
Yeah. And in a different case.
Demographic.
Yeah. So it's all very fascinating. And
so, but I'm trying to think, a civil trial is different from a criminal trial, right? Like, is the burden of proof different? Is that how it? I'm trying to think of how they convicted him in the civil trial, or if it was just
they used some common sense. It was pretty damn easy to do.
Wrongful death.
Yeah,
it was a wrongful death. Yeah, that's right.
You think about it. How do you get convicted of wrongful death in one court and then innocent in the other court, and have to pay all the money in the civil case?
But he never paid it, did he?
I think he got some money, but not much.
Yeah,
the Goldman family.
Yeah. I think that they...
and then that's another crazy thing. She forgets her glasses at a restaurant, and then you got this poor innocent guy that was wrong place at the wrong time.
Who?
Ron Goldman.
He was sleeping with her.
I'm not saying that he wasn't, but he wouldn't have been there that night if she hadn't have forgot her glasses.
Bullshit. OJ was going out of town. It was a booty call.
He wouldn't have been there then, I don't think.
Yeah, she did. She called him. What do you think? I'm telling you right now, it was a planned deal. OJ's going out of town. You ain't got to worry about him stabbing you. He's going to be in Chicago. Come on over, buddy. That's what it's about. She may have said, I just left my glasses. Bullshit. It's old George Costanza. If you leave something at her house, you got to go back and get it so you get to see her again.
But I was kind of under the impression that the trip to Chicago was impromptu, so that he could have an alibi for not being there.
Correct. That's what I gathered.
They weren't living together anyways at the time.
No.
So she doesn't know that he's going to be in Chicago.
Well, it was a booty call, Andy. Don't be so naive.
I'm not naive as to thinking that they weren't sleeping together. I just don't think he would have been there at that exact moment if she had not left her glasses there.
You're way too smart for this.
Do you think he would have been there regardless?
Your kids are going to get by with so much shit.
Do you think he would have been there regardless?
Yes, it was all a plan. She may have left the glasses. She's probably like, bring them over later. That's what it was about. Telling you right now, that is a plain deal. If he'd put his penis in her, they have already... No, that you don't just leave your glasses at someone you put your penis in and just accidentally
at a restaurant. You never forgot a restaurant. You never lost a credit card. You never lost any keys at a restaurant.
If you're sleeping with the waitress and you leave something
you never left a driver's license at a restaurant.
You just mysteriously leave them at someone's place you've been sleeping with.
It was at a restaurant. She left them.
So she went to where he was at work.
Yes,
yeah, she and her mom.
Yeah, they had a family dinner.
Family dinner. Mom, I'm gonna show you the guy I'm sleeping with now. I know you don't like OJ and he's a little violent, but this is the new guy's pretty nice. Yes, I think it was all a planned deal. What do you think?
I think it was wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah,
for him,
I think
personally.
I do think it was wrong place, wrong time. Now, I think that probably there was stuff going on.
Yes,
but
I'm not denying
I
that.
do think that it was.
How many
maybe
people?
wrong place.
Okay, I'm gonna play on y'all side now. Okay.
Okay.
How many people you think left? I bet if I left my glasses there, his ass ain't bringing them to me.
No.
There you go.
But
Case
it was
closed.
We're not denying that they had a relationship. I'm just saying he probably would not have been there that night if she hadn't left her glasses. Because yes, he did say, "I know her. I know where she lives. I'll take her glasses to her."
I'm calling bullshit. I'm saying he banging her and he knew what he was doing. And it was
I
all a
agree
plan.
that he was sleeping with
and
her.
It was a plan, is what I'm saying. I just don't. I don't think he was definitely in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But he was at the right place he wanted to be at the wrong time. He knew what he was planning on doing. He's not taking the glasses back to you.
You never know, Jeff.
Yeah, he's not. Well, it's 2025.
Me and Ron could have had a hell of a relationship.
Yeah, well, we're proud that you went with Jesse and we got them grandkids.
He was a big kickboxer, so maybe we would have had that in common. He'd been, "Oh, he's
You
my
ain't
buddy.
never kickboxed in your life.
He's my buddy. He's my buddy. I'm gonna go take his glasses back to him." Damsel in distress.
And I'm going to tell you right now, OJ wouldn't have been no easy win either.
No. Well, and Ron Goldman, I think he had a martial arts background too.
I'm telling you right now, it's hard to beat jiu-jitsu against a Ginsu knife. You don't have a chance in hell.
I'm trying to remember.
I mean, you think about that. Guy was murdered. National scene. Everybody knows about it. His family's mourned this forever. And OJ went and played golf every day after that. Knowing that everybody knows.
Yeah.
that
And then
OJ
wrote a
killed
book
him.
about.
Yeah.
If I
had
did
done it,
Yeah.
this is how I would have done it.
Because if someone murdered my wife and I'm innocent, I'm going to do everything I can to find out who that son of a bitch is and do the same thing to them. Or make sure he gets... How many times
It
you
was
see
his
OJ...
ex-wife.
Still. If you got accused of something you didn't do and someone was running around and killed her, you're going to do everything in your power to try to find out who that is, to clear your name at least.
Yeah.
Even if it's not for her, it's for you. Because the best thing OJ could have done is, poor OJ, Bill killed her, and now everybody knows Bill did it, and OJ's a victim, and all that he went through, poor OJ. You wouldn't just go off and play golf and have all that shit done if you were innocent, I don't think.
Yeah.
You would want to clear your name.
I got found innocent.
That's not
Move
clearing
on. his
name. Everybody, he got shunned. He was NBC's best football analyst. Everybody loved him on TV. Couldn't do that ever again. Why, if he's innocent, do they not let him do that anymore?
Well, he's dead now,
What?
Jeff.
But what? No.
Well,
But
then he went to Las Vegas and stole stuff out of
stole his own
his own
shit back.
stuff
But I'm just saying, if he was truly innocent, if you killed your spouse and you got found innocent, Iowa Park High School would give you your job back because you didn't do nothing wrong, right? If you were innocent,
And you
theoretically.
yeah, and it don't
Yeah.
always work that way because of teaching. Because I've had an experience with a poor kid that got accused of something, and they falsely arrested him, and then they said, "Oh, my bad." Well, he couldn't go back to work because
Yeah.
it looked bad for them. And then when you run his deal, he'd been convicted of child porn, and it was the wrong guy. So let's take teaching out of it. But if you do anything else, they're going to give you your job back if you're innocent. If you didn't do nothing. If you get found innocent of murder and you did not do nothing and you're a good employee, they're going to bring it. America would have embraced OJ Simpson. Poor guy got, he was innocent. They found out the guy that did it.
Yeah, I think so.
And so you would try to clear your name.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
we don't know that. He wrote a book, kind of outlined what he would have done differently.
Okay.
He couldn't have been there.
I'm sitting with
Book
two.
doesn't match it.
I'm the most uneducated person in this room right here.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you, do you think OJ killed her and him?
Me?
Do you think OJ was a murderer?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think OJ murdered?
Yes.
Bingo. 95% of everybody in the world, and the 5% are fucking idiots. Everybody knows that he killed her. Honest. God. Do you think Charles Manson was a murderer?
He didn't.
Yes. He didn't. He never actually killed.
I think he did too. I just don't think he killed
He
any
got
of them.
caught.
I don't think he got caught. But
What a mastermind.
do you think he's responsible for all that crap that happened?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, he was definitely messing with their minds with
Mm-hmm.
drugs and.
And there's a different layer to Charles Manson because Charles Manson was employed by the CIA.
Have you seen any of that?
I haven't seen that.
Ooh, yeah.
You got to dig into that. There's a book
that's your
called
class.
There's a book called Chaos.
Matter of fact, I think I have it in my office in there. If I do, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
They say that Charles Manson was arrested and he was a habitual parole violator. They said if anybody else would have violated parole the way Charles Manson did, they would have revoked they'd have been right back in prison.
Especially in the early 60s.
But Charles Manson was a CIA operative. They were trying to see the effects of LSD on they basically wanted to create like a super
MK Ultra.
A super soldier, and it's all under the MK Ultra thing. So they would like they did crazy stuff. There was a hotel that they had like a two-way mirror in, and they would get people to dope up a John at a bar with LSD, and then they would bring him back to the motel with a prostitute basically, and like they would just observe like what would happen. There was one guy, his last name Shaver, actually. They doped him up with LSD, and then he kills and rapes like a 7-year-old girl. That was, I mean, she had shitty parents. She was sitting in her parents' car in the bar parking lot. He walks out of the bar, sees her, and then like he comes to, and he has no recollection of it. Wow. So they were wanting to see what LSD would do with soldiers.
He was a soldier.
He was.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was in the Army.
He was high up in the military. But they basically wanted to see what LSD, if it could create like a super soldier, wouldn't have PTSD. So Charles Manson, it's just, there's so many layers. Like he was going to the Haight-Ashbury Clinic for
heroin.
It was basically like Planned Parenthood back in the day. You would get all your STDs, you get shots and everything, but then he would get his heroin and LSD there. And it was just it's a whole thing.
One of the books, that's the thing I'm interested in. I love the Helter Skelter stuff. Mm-hmm. That really that's my OJ more than anything. I watch every show I can about it. They had, one of the police officers, it's in this Chaos book, and I've read so many books since then, I can't remember exactly the details. One of the chief detectives on there, and it may be an Abigail, may have been his name. He went with Charles Manson to that house that the Tate, what was her name? Sharon Tate, and what's the dickhead director she was married to?
Roman
Polanski, who's a piece of shit, child rapist. Anyways, they went to his house before that all happened, and supposedly Charles Manson was with this guy that was the detective at this place. But Roman Polanski and them were renting this place, I think.
Yeah, it was one of the beach. It was the beach.
No, Brian Wilson was friends with Charles Manson.
Yes, but. So that was another thing it said. Charles Manson really wanted a record deal.
Yeah.
That wasn't the house, though,
Didn't he move out of that house?
Yes.
And then they moved in?
Yeah, they couldn't.
Right.
He went to he had gone to that house before, but it was the record producer's house.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then he went there to kill the record producer.
Might have been Ronnie Spector even.
I don't know. He had sent them to that house.
Or Phil Spector.
This was the record producer that turned him down.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize that they'd moved out 6 months ago.
Right.
And the Folgers girl was there. And the
Abigail
kid,
Folger.
What's the kid's name? The hair guy. Not Paul Mitchell, but the other one. Not Vidal Sassoon, but it was one of the famous hair people. Anyways, because he was sweet on Sharon Tate. But they'd moved to Brian Wilson had a house, and he picked up two of Charles Manson's, I don't even know what you'd call the cult members,
girls, the
family picked up two of them, and they gave him an STD, I believe. But he went back and had a bunch of wild sex with these girls, and he's like, "Y'all come back anytime you want to." Well, then they said, "Hey, can we bring Charlie with us?" And I don't care if Charlie. So this flea-ridden, stinking hippie comes over, and he never leaves. And so eventually, Brian Wilson, then when he would come back and forth, they just stayed at his house. Well, finally, it got so bad, he went and got his shit out, and he left and just left the house to him and told the people he was renting it from, "Hey, I'm gone, so I don't know who's staying there." And they had to run him out.
Wow.
It was Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger,
Yep, Sebring.
Furkowski, and Stephen Parent.
Sebring had like hair salons, I think.
Yes, he was a celebrity hairstylist, former boyfriend of Tate. That Stephen Parent, he was 18-year-olds visiting the property's caretaker and happened to be leaving as the killers arrived. So they caught him on the way out. Jeff would say he's sleeping with somebody, and that's why he was there.
No.
I happened to say wrong place, wrong time.
That is wrong place, wrong time. He was an Eagle Scout going over. Now, I don't know what was going on with him and the gardener, but he was leaving. That was an innocent victim. Actually, all four of those people were, because they weren't even the designated people.
Yeah.
And then is it the Belanca laws or
La Bianca.
La Bianca.
La Bianca? Why'd they kill them?
He wanted to show them how it was supposed to be done.
Right, but they were just happened eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and that's the house they went to.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen actual Helter Skelter, the one made in the 70s? It's pretty. It was really hard to watch in the 70s. Now it would probably be like it's. I watched the damn scare. I watched Halloween with my my granddaughter last night. She went to watch it. Her and her friend.
Y'all watched it?
We watched part of it. Yeah, until we got to
which one?
The first one. But some boobs come on. I had to turn it off.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, what did you do with that whole thing?
We'd have to stop it and fast forward. I'd get attention to something, but we wanted to see the murder part. But at first, it would. This is cheesy. This ain't even scary. Blah blah blah. Then it's like they're just watching down, and then so
you watched the one from the 70s.
Yes, the one with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Right.
And I told Dylan, I said, "No, that's the girl from Freaky Friday, the lady, huh?" And she goes, "She looks just the same." And I said, Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't look much different than she did when she was young.
Pretty well.
Yeah, she has. And but anyways, we watched part of it. But so Helter Skelter, my point was, it was kind of Halloween's not that to today's standards. It's not real scary, but it's creepy. Mm-hmm. And they don't make creepy movies; they make just evil spirit stuff.
Yes,
I can't believe you can't come back and do a killer movie like that and just make it creepy where you're on the edge, think something's gonna happen. That wouldn't be a big hit. But anyways, when you watch Helter Skelter now, it's probably not as, even though it was kind of a docu-series on the deal, as bad as it was then.
Right.
This says he was indicted on 7 counts of murder. Charles Manson was.
And I don't think he ever killed anybody, but he was the one that told him to do it.
And 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder.
That's what all of them should have been.
You could get to stick, but I don't understand how he got 7 counts of murder.
Two of those women that went to prison that did the killing, one of them, I think a couple of them got out eventually.
They did.
But a couple of them old gals to this day would still die for Charles Manson.
It's crazy.
Boy, you're talking about some big time. You know that poor guy that owned that Warren Spawn, was that his name? The Spawn? Not
Spawn
Warren
Ranch.
Spawn was a pitcher. It was a pitcher, but it was Spawn Ranch.
It was Spawn Ranch.
That guy was 75 years old.
Living his good life.
With all them young girls having sex with him all the time, and they were cooking and cleaning for him and doing everything for him, and all that shit going on outside. Had no idea.
Do you like kind of what's the age group of the students that you have in your class? Is it freshmen? Is it seniors?
They're mostly seniors.
Oh, okay.
There's a handful of juniors, and I always send home
at
like
a release.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we talk about some crazy stuff. We have Serial Killer Friday.
Yeah.
And we talk about all different serial killers.
A 17-year-old kid today is different than a 17-year-old kid was 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
We're stupid to think, because when I was 17 years old, I didn't get it. I mean, I knew what was going on, didn't you?
I thought so.
Yeah, I mean, you did, though. Did you go to Old High, too?
I did.
Okay. Everything going on at Old High I knew about when I was 17, so did you in 16. Mm-hmm. We as parents sometimes think our 16 and 17-year-old kids aren't as in tune with what's going on in the world. No, they are. They know what's going on. So, but I wondered about that. We had one day at school. We had a substitute here, and my youngest son said, "Oh, can we take a movie?" She goes, "Yeah, go to your house and get a movie and watch a movie." He took Django Unchained to school. And the lady that was the substitute teacher, she didn't know. She didn't care. She let him watch it and stuff.
She's reading her book.
Yeah, she's reading her book. Didn't know what was going on. Now, I think that's kind of funny. I think Django's a good movie, but I don't know if you should be watching it in school.
Yeah, probably not.
So, but what you're doing is a lot worse than anything in Django.
Yeah.
I mean, that they're seeing.
Yeah.
But it's educational. Have you ever had parents say no?
No.
Good for them.
They know. I mean, it's just part of. But like some of the details of a lot of these cases, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So I didn't know
California.
I didn't know if you like kind of glance over some instances or if you just dive right into this. I mean, what was going on.
If things
like,
are,
would you talk about like Spawn Ranch and everything that was going on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not in like right. I don't verbally go.
We're not talking about orgies.
Right. But they know.
Yeah.
We talk about they were having sex with whomever, wherever.
Right.
You know,
that free love movement that was going on.
Yeah.
Have y'all done the Ronnie Spector case? Mm-mm. Do you know anything about it?
No, not much.
Do you know who he was? Famous music producer and brought the lady home from the bar and killed her at nighttime. I saw it on one of those. I do not listen to the most popular podcast in the world are these crime scene podcasts.
Yeah.
People love them. And I don't know if I actually got caught up listening to one or something. It may have been on, I do listen to podcasts, and it's called, it's something that's been off of Elvis Presley music. I can't remember. Jesus Christ, I can't remember. But it's all about music and celebrities and all the screwed up things they do. and that they had one on Ronnie Spector. And that's a really interesting case too.
Is that the one was she found in a chair?
Yes. I can't remember all the details because it's been too long.
I haven't studied that case much.
What's your favorite case that you bring?
Oh,
that y'all study?
I like talking about the Waco case because we do like serial killers, and then we also talk and touch on cults, and then we talk and touch on mass murders. So, differences in those, and I like talking about the Waco case because there's a lot. Like the OJ case, there's so much you can hit on.
Yeah,
and the kids don't necessarily know about it anymore. That happened when I was in. What year was that?
What happened?
94, maybe.
Probably not. No, I think it was
97?
probably 92, 94.
Was it early 90s?
No, it was the early
93.
90s.
93. Okay, so that would have been
28.
when I was in high school, and they don't really know anything about it. And I think it's important for them to know.
We knew more stuff about our history that we grew up with. Like you could have asked about something in the 60s or the 50s than kids today do of the things in the 90s and the 2000s. Disgraceland is the name of that podcast.
Disgraceland.
Disgraceland, like Graceland, but it's Disgraceland, and it's all celebrity shit. Like one of them is Frank Sinatra. Frank is the reason that the president's dead. Fleetwood Mac. Fleetwood Mac, Guns, God, Cocaine, and Rumors. They got every kind of music in the world. I mean, there's stories. They'll have deals about Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson. I mean, anything that Jerry Lee Lewis. Why did they call him the killer? Well, they talk about it. But anyways, it's an interesting.
I think to touch on your point, I think that kids today have sensory overload because they have so much information with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. They just get bombarded with.
It's hard to filter
so much.
All of
Whenever y'all were kids, y'all had two stories, right? You had Waco. You had the OJ trial.
Well, I wasn't a kid when Waco. I was
either way. Just when you were of that age, y'all got whatever mainstream media wanted to give you.
The news and newspapers.
Yeah.
So you only had what they wanted to show you. You didn't get the father that killed his 3 daughters in Washington. Y'all might not have seen that. But kids today do. So there's just so much that they've got to keep straight in their head that.
We didn't have.
I think you're being unfair to the kids today.
No, well, I'm not saying that they're not smart. I'm just saying
you just said that they're not in tune.
They're not in tune with things like we were. They're not.
But they've got so much to keep straight.
I think it's quantity.
Yes.
Over quality.
Yes.
Right.
They are facing quantity. We had more quality because.
Right.
And we actually had journalists then. Well, I'm starting to wonder now how much they lied to us like they do now about shit. But we had journalism. Like Walter Cronkite, I want to think, was actually given the news, not his opinion. But we also, I would have loved to have Twitter because that's my go-to source when I want to know something's going on in the world. Like right now, if someone calls, hey, they've got a shooting in New York City. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Twitter. First thing I'm going to do, because they're faster and there's someone there that tweets that's right there that knows what's going on. So anytime something happens, Twitter's my first. I don't ever tweet, but I go read it all the time. And that's my news source. But we didn't have that kind of stuff. There was no back channels to find out the information. So you read the newspaper and you listened to the news, and that's what we went by. And you're right about the Washington deal because you were more local news. Do you remember as a kid when the lady cut her baby's heart out?
No.
In Wichita, there was a lady. I'm gonna say it was probably 1980, and she cut her baby's heart out.
Wow.
And this screwed with me. It might have been, it probably was in the 70s, I guess. But they put her in the state hospital in Wichita Falls, and she escaped. And I don't know how old I was, 10, 12, something. Enough where I still
remember it.
Yeah, and was scared. We were duck hunting with my dad at Lake Wichita. Oh, well, you can see the state hospital. Yes. We're in them cattails, and we're listening. We used to take a radio. It's kids today don't realize we didn't have iPhones and shit. We had the old radio, and we listened to KTRN, and it was on a Sunday, I guess, because we were duck hunting, or a Saturday, and I'm sure we were listening to football, and they come breaking in. This is KTRN with a news flash. We'll call her Maura. I don't know her name. Maura. I don't even know where I come with that name at. Maura Johnson has escaped the state hospital. She was indicted of killing her her baby cut her baby's heart out, and she filed, she's pled insanity, and she has escaped, and they don't think she's armed, but she's dangerous. Please, if you see her, contact authorities. We're at a lake. My dad was a huge man, huge man, 6'2", or about 6'3", 240 pounds, arms on him like Popeye. And I've got a shotgun. My dad's got a gun. And I'm scared this lady's going to come through the cattails. And I was scared to death. I was so glad when the hunt was over and we got to the tree. I was scared, and they caught her, but she cut her baby's heart out.
That's crazy.
Well, everybody in Wichita Falls, that was the news for Wichita Falls. I'm sure in Dallas, it's like some lady cut her baby's heart out, but it wasn't the big news. Mm-hmm. And then we had a dude one time that the cops, he was giving money away. And the cops and the news are there, and he's got a shotgun out, and he's talking, and he shoots himself in the chest. And the blood, and on the front page of the Wichita Falls Times-Record News is a guy with this gun in his chest. He just blew his chest out, his heart out. But it was all local stuff. Mm-hmm. So the national stuff, you didn't
get as much.
No, and if you watch the old shows and stuff, you'll see in the 50s or the 30s and 20s, the news ran twice a day. Mm-hmm. The newspapers, even Wichita Falls, we used to get a paper in the morning and afternoon. But that's the only way you knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And so kids today, I don't know that they're not in tune to me. I don't think kids care like they used to. I really don't. I don't think that when you were in school, this trial in Idaho, we would have been talking about. Do you think the kids today, outside of your forensics class, really are talking about it?
I think maybe a few of them. Yeah. I know when it first happened, there were kids talking about it that were not in my forensics class.
Just talking about
they would come talk to me. Hey, did you see this?
You're the murder lady at school.
Yeah.
The Waco thing, though, the ATF was in the wrong for that, weren't they?
They could have arrested him in a different situation. We hunted a lot of those guys that were there over the years,
right? And
it
was an overstep. Not wrong. It was an overstep.
Way overstep, I think. Way overreach.
I think so.
They could have. Supposedly, he went to town all the time,
every day.
Arrest him in town would have been the end of it. Mm-hmm. Those poor little kids, and we don't have our mind set the way those people do. You imagine you don't have a wife. It's 2025, so you probably could, but I know you don't have one. But I can't imagine being in a cult. Oh, you want to have sex with my wife? Okay, and I won't. Yeah, and you want me to weed the garden? Okay, I'll do that. What the hell are these people thinking? These cult people are just.
It's like they're brainwashed.
They're wired different. Like the Jones guy we did on the Did You Know the other day, or Andy didn't know about him. Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
You talked 1,000 people into killing themselves. You gotta be a damn good salesman.
Yeah.
But you just had so I'm looking it up. You had Ruby Ridge. I couldn't remember the name.
So they shot the lady in the eye.
And the son.
Yep.
And then the father shoots back because he just knows that his wife and kid had gotten shot. And then you do the same. Right. He didn't know that they were U.S. Marshals out there. And then you have Waco in 93. And then had it not been for Waco, you wouldn't have had the Oklahoma City bombing.
Right.
Because Timothy McVeigh he saw what was going on, and he saw it as a government
I don't
overstep.
know about all that.
You don't think so?
No, I don't know. I'm just, when you say that, we wouldn't have had Oklahoma City. I'm not buying that we wouldn't have happened on that. I think he was looking.
Waco was the incident that pushed him to doing it. I'll phrase it that way. I don't know.
The straw that broke
the camel's back.
Do you think he's a lone wolf on that deal, or him and that Terry Nichols guy? Or what was it?
Terry Nichols.
Yeah.
Nichols? You think there was only 2 involved?
I thought there were 3.
There was a third one.
But do you think it's just 3 of them?
The third one got off because he gave state's evidence.
That's not what I'm asking. Do you think those are the only 3 people involved in that?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know enough conspiracy to even speak intelligently on there being more people.
There's a picture floating around the internet, and I think it's fake. It's AI. I don't know if it's AI, but I think it's fake. There's a guy that's an FBI agent that looks just like him. They did facial recognition, and they said that's Timothy McVeigh. I don't buy that shit. But I think there's more of the government involved. I think this is another CIA op. Supposedly, one of the rumors is, and there's a guy from Wichita Falls got killed in that. Do you know that? Mm-hmm. And I think the rumor is, and I believe the rumor, that they had a bunch of whitewater stuff, evidence against Hillary Clinton, that was stored at that place. So it makes more sense. It's kind of like Nashville. That building blew up where all them voting machines were.
Yeah.
That's mysteriously weird how that just happens, you know? And
I had never heard of that Jim Jones incident, though.
Really?
How many people was it?
it was like almost 1,000 people.
It was, yeah.
And a senator or a congressman got murdered, and his entourage got murdered up and shot at. But you should know that because it was a long time ago.
There was a survivor that actually was trying to get on the plane to get out.
Yes.
When all that happened.
Yes, and he was the one that told everybody, and then he come back and told everybody, you got to drink the Kool-Aid because the authorities are fixing to come. But it was a sitting congressman from maybe Indiana, wherever he first started. One of their constituents had family that was in this camp and wanted to go down there and see what was going on, and they killed him because he was going to go back and tell the press. I think there was news reporter. They didn't have the live stuff like they have now, and I think there was a news reporter on there too. And he said, "You got to kill those people."
Yeah,
it was in Ghana, right? And they shot him on the way to the airport. And then they went back, and these people mass suicided themselves.
909, 1/3 were children.
Yeah,
909, and how many were kids?
A third.
A third of them were kids. And they made them drink Kool-Aid. But those people knew what they were drinking. Now, the kids, I'm sure, didn't.
And he died of a gunshot wound.
He shot himself after everybody else drank the Kool-Aid.
Said they were forced to at gunpoint.
Oh, to drink it?
Many of Jones's followers willingly ingested the poison, while others were forced to it at gunpoint. Final death toll at Jonestown was 909. A third were children.
And he told them they had like a code blue or something. They had a code that they would say, and they would practice this even. They'd practice this whole thing. But when the news reporters came, he come and Jim Jones tried to give him this lecture about how things were great, blah, blah. And they got into a debate, and the guy said, I'm out of here. And they drove to the airport, and they ambushed him with machine guns.
Jim Jones?
No, well, somebody that was one of his
the
cronies.
Followers, yeah.
Oh.
And they shot up these guys, but they killed a sitting U.S. congressman. And so when it got back news, then they went in, I guess the Ghana army or somebody got there, and and it was just a mass. It was all over. I remember that as a kid. I mean, it was tragedy at Jonestown.
Yeah.
And they got there after the fact, but they were all a mass grave, basically.
They would drink it and go lay down.
Yeah.
Freaking wild.
Cults
are crazy.
But
how can one guy be so charismatic that would convince you to either take a life or taking your own life and the life of your kids?
It's just
like Manson, David Koresh, this guy.
The guy that is it Will Jeffers? Is that his name?
Yes. The FLDS guy.
That guy's crazy. Did you watch that show, Be Kind and Sweet or whatever it is? That's a very good Netflix docuseries.
Be sweet, pray and obey, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Keep sweet, yeah.
That's just, and those little girls and kids. He had wives from 80 years old to 18 or 16 or 15 or 14.
60 some odd wives, I think.
Well, I don't know anybody do that to themselves.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know anybody have two. The Mormons with 3 and 4. That's a lot of ass chins on Valentine's Day. There's no way.
Yeah. Have you covered any of the what's his name? Dahmer.
Yes, that's the first serial killer kind of we go over.
The first one.
Yeah.
There's one, I don't know if you've covered him or not, that John Wayne Gacy.
Yep,
we covered him.
That one's a really neat
his story kind of hurts me in the stomach.
It's a neat case because when we talk about anthropology, you can measure lengths of bones and determine height and age and things like that. And so we always cover that case whenever I'm going over anthropology because those investigators had to go under his house and they were just digging up under his house and finding, tens of 20, I don't even remember how many victims were buried under there.
Yeah.
But it was it's a good case to cover when we talk about bones.
Particularly brutal too, and the things that he did to those boys.
Awful.
I mean, bad.
Yes.
I think Netflix did a show on him, Confessions or something like that.
Yes,
I couldn't watch it.
We listen to I watch it at home.
Yeah.
And then I write down particular segments to show, and I may show a segment here, a segment there.
Right.
But we don't watch the entire thing on that one.
I couldn't watch the John Wayne Gacy one. I watched the Ted Bundy one, but I couldn't bring myself to watch the Gacy one.
What about
there's another Netflix documentary that you should watch. It's about a couple over in London.
Oh,
have you seen it?
yes, Rose.
Fred and Rose West.
I haven't finished it, but I've started it.
Fred and Rose West. Yeah. So for those of you that hadn't seen, they had like 9 kids or something like that. One of the girls goes missing, and they tell their kids, like, from the age that they can, from as young as these kids can remember, like, you better obey or you'll end up under the patio like your sister did. And they just they just played it off like.
So Rose was really under the patio.
Fred and Rose West were husband and wife.
Oh, the kid really ended up under the patio.
Yes.
His kid was really under the
I'm
patio.
going to have to watch that one.
It's only 3 episodes. It's really good, though.
What do you constitute as a serial killer? Because Payne and me were talking about this the other day. He goes, is that guy a serial killer in Idaho? I said, no, I think that's just an incident.
Mass murder.
That's a mass murder.
But that's not a serial killer. Serial killer, if you kill more than one person, is that a serial killer at a separate time?
Yes. 3 victims. And this is like the written definition, 3 victims in a short-ish period of time.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they want to get caught, some of them? Because the BTK guy, he would have never got caught if he didn't come out to do it, to
Taunting
the police.
I for sure think they want to be known.
Right.
And the only way they're going to be known is if they get found out.
Like the Zodiac Killer. Mm-hmm. He loved the game. Mm-hmm. That's a great movie.
But he got away, though. We still don't know the Zodiac Killer, do we?
I think they do.
I think they have their idea.
Okay.
It's just he's gone now, I'm
and
sure.
they've cracked the cipher.
Oh, really?
Have you looked that up at all?
It's a great movie.
There were 3 scientists, mathematicians across the world that were working together to crack the cipher. And you can look it up and watch there's a YouTube videos on it. And the way they cracked that code was genius. I don't know how anybody ever.
Have you saw the show?
Yes.
That's a
With
very
Jake
good
Gyllenhaal?
movie. It's a great movie.
With Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, I guess the guy from Brokeback Mountain.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very good movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, he just went to this Lover's Lane, basically, and shot kids, didn't he? Isn't that where he killed most of his people? The
I
Zodiac
think
Killer?
so, yeah.
Yeah, he was deadly.
Or was that, or am I thinking of the Son of Sam?
No, Son of Sam was in New York. He did all kinds of stuff.
Son of Sam did kill in cars, but
Right.
His was just random stuff. And
Well, I think the Zodiac Killer was too. He didn't have any.
I think he had a certain area that he worked. Have you? It reminded me of another one I'm trying to think of, and I just had a mind blank. The Zodiac. Oh, the what's going on in Austin, Texas right now? You know, they've got a serial
have to fill
killer.
me in on that.
They've found all these bodies in this lake.
Oh, in the lake, yeah.
I don't know nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's
And
all the homeless people and stuff. And I mean, how many has he really killed?
I don't know that, but that reminds me of another one. Samuel Little.
No.
I don't know who that is.
Wow. If you get a chance, look up Samuel Little. He killed across the country, came through Wichita Falls. One of the Texas Rangers that talked with him in Decatur, Texas. He killed over 90 women.
Did he really do it, or is he claiming a bunch of them they didn't do? Henry Lee Lucas claimed a bunch more than he really did.
No, this guy really did, and he was an artist. If you look him up, they gave him paper because he couldn't remember necessarily names, but he remembered their faces, and he drew them for the investigators, and they were able to match pictures with his drawings.
Was he killing lot lizards and stuff like that, and hookers and prostitutes?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, he died in 2020. Confessed to 93 murders.
Yeah.
Do you remember as a kid? How old are you?
I'm almost 47.
Okay, you're not going to remember this then. I was going to remember if you remember the Ellen Bilal, Terry Gibbs, and all them murders. I'm sure you've talked about them in class.
Yeah, we do go over Farian Wardrop.
Okay, I went through it. I was a kid when all that happened. Mm-hmm. You talk about turning a town of 100,000 people into fucking people staying at home and shit.
Oh, I'm sure.
That was a very we had two things in Wichita. We had that, and we had the rapist when I was in college running around that was using the green rubbers. Did you ever know about that?
I didn't know about that.
He was a serial rapist, and he was raping people or was raping women. He went to a girl's house that was 13 or 14 years old. She had a window unit in her window. Opened the window, took the window unit, got her out of bed, raped her, took her to Winn-Dixie on Jacksboro Highway, and gave her a quarter to call her parents to come get her.
Wow.
All they knew is that he kept using green condoms. That's all they could find. This would have been 88, 89, 90, somewhere around there. all they knew was he was a dark-haired guy, and he was a big guy. And I didn't know if big meant like football playing big or fat guy, whatever it was. Right. But I got profiled. So I go to an apartment across from Haystacks at the Raintree Apartments. Anyways, I go over there about 11:30 one night. Woo! Cops pulled me over and they got me up against the car. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And they got my ID and stuff and blah, blah, blah. But that's what they were doing. But they ended up pulling a guy over and he had green condoms in his car. And that's how they arrested him.
Wow.
But his name was Michael something. But he was a rape. But we had that when I was in college. But then we had the murders when I was like in junior high. Mm-hmm. And the Terry Gibbs, she was a beautiful lady. Mm-hmm. And it was that he was killing the nurses. Mm-hmm. And then, but it wasn't just nurses. It was, but how many people did he kill in Wichita?
Five, I believe.
5 women in a town of 100,000. And I'm telling you right now, people were very vigilant. I mean, people were nervous.
And the way he got caught.
Yeah.
How did he get caught?
He was at work in Olney at a factory. I can't remember what.
He was a preacher also.
He was.
He was at Air Tractor maybe.
But he was at his job, and Detective Little, I believe, he was down there waiting in his car watching him, and the guy he needed DNA. And he saw him. He was eating cheese crackers and drinking out of a cup. And so he went over there and said, hey, do you got a spit cup? And he pointed down because he had thrown his cup in the barrel, and he pointed down at the barrel. And so he went over and picked up the cup that had cheese cracker crumbs on it.
Oh, wow.
And tested it, and DNA match.
Wow. He had been in trouble before. And I think someone gave him a hot tip that he was involved, and he'd gotten his life straight, I guess, for 10 or 15 years after that. And he was I don't know if he's a preacher or a youth minister at a church there. Bagged that thing up, and they did a DNA test on it. He come back and he'd killed all those women.
Because
and there was
trash is public.
It is
public property at that point. It's not your property anymore.
Yeah.
But he then he confessed to it after that, I think. But there was a guy named Danny Laughlin, and Danny Laughlin was who everybody in Wichita Falls thought killed all them girls.
All the girls.
Matter of fact, I have my dad had a friend. It was a guy that was an older policeman that lost his job over this. Just about because he went above and beyond to arrest Danny Laughlin, and I know he did it because
did Danny Laughlin go above and beyond to prove his innocence like OJ should have?
Danny Laughlin ended up going to prison for something else and died or something.
Well, sometimes you can't outrun things.
He never got convicted of it.
Everybody thought he did it.
No, but they did. But he had taken his dog for a walk out on the county road where Terry Gibbs's body was found. So he was right there at the crime scene at one time, and then he was somewhere else. He had connections to 2 or 3 of these women.
That sucks.
It just happened to be. But I don't think. Look up Danny Laughlin, Wichita Falls. It'll show. But I don't think that he was an innocent person. I think he ended up going to prison for something.
Have you seen the one where the serial killer is on the dating show?
Yes.
That was Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
No, it was another guy.
What was his name?
Ted Bundy was on the dating game also.
He might have been, but this guy, I'll look it up. Danny Laughlin.
You look up Danny Laughlin. I'm going to look up Ted Bundy on the dating game because I'm pretty sure it was Ted Bundy. What's his name is?
Frey and Waldrop? Who's that?
That's the same. That's it. Varian. That's the Danny Laughlin. That's the case.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it says Danny Laughlin was initially suspected. Terry Sims, Tony Gibbs,
and Ellen Blau, I think, is one of the other ladies.
Tina Kimbrough. Where does it talk about? Yes, it was Detective Little, but I can't find where it talks about
Mike Little.
I believe so.
Yeah, he became a judge at the JP there too. I think after that, different guy.
Different guy.
Okay.
But anyway, they thought this guy was him. It doesn't give whatever happened to Mr. Laughlin here. There was 2 guys, but Ted Bundy was on the dating game in 1978 when Bundy had already begun his murderous spree. Then in style, television present the dating game, invited eligible bachelors. Contestants would ask her questions, blah, 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 blah. They determined the event. Rodney Alcala.
Yeah,
yes.
He was on there too because I saw it also. But yes, both of them were on the dating game.
And Ted Bundy, what a smart guy he was.
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways.
He was just a chameleon. He blended in everywhere. I wonder if they'd have caught him if he hadn't bit that girl on the ass cheek. Because they did the dental
impressions,
and he's got like a chipped tooth or something that he's got something that's unique to his mouth that they were able to tie it. This Rodney guy, they think he could have killed as many as 130 people.
God, can you imagine having that much evil inside of you?
No,
I could kill someone if they were trying to hurt my family.
Yeah.
Or hurting me. And probably my family before I would do me. I mean, if you were going to hurt my family and I had a gun, I would shoot you. Me, it would be the last, like, is he really trying to, or her, or whatever it is. But to just randomly pick people, that's what's sick about these suicide vest wearers and all this shit. Just look at a crowd of people just to randomly just kill someone.
After the plane crash, when my brother and my sister-in-law and my nieces and nephews died in the plane crash, death, it's weird. I almost feel like I'm cold to death because all of that happened at once, and I had to work through it all at once. But I still don't see how somebody can physically do it to another person.
No, right. I don't.
I don't.
That's a lot of hatred to want to just, but to not hate someone just to kill someone, like to drive down the street and say, you know what, I'm gonna kill these people.
Right.
Like these terrorists and stuff. Yeah. I just don't understand how you can just. I mean, there are some people. I had a guy screw me over really big time on a business deal one time. I mean, and it hurt me a lot, but not enough to. And now I'm forgiving. As I get older, old men either get really bitter or they get more forgiving. And I've become more forgiving as I get older about stuff. I can't imagine there's nobody out there that I dislike bad enough to even want to physically hurt someone as to kill someone.
Right.
Because I see the stuff that you went through when you lose someone. You're not just taking their life, you're taking away everything around them. And Jason, your brother, and Tony graduated together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a horrible deal. But that would change the way you would think about stuff, and you see things different. Yeah. And to be in with what you're teaching, it's like law enforcement officers. People are like, well, they're cold, they don't care. They see it all the time. They become numb to it.
Yeah.
You imagine being a paramedic on an ambulance. I'm saying if you're a paramedic and you work at Lenox Hospital in New York, or you work in Cook County in Chicago, I bet you see somebody die every day.
Yeah, probably so.
I mean, probably do Wichita Falls.
You probably do a lot, but I don't know that you would in those places.
Several times a week.
More. Yes, probably. I mean, counting heart attacks to everything, death. Yeah, you're seeing someone die, and you're probably right. There are probably people in Wichita. I mean, someone dies at the hospital there every day. Right. But to be in a trauma situation,
yeah.
Those places like that, it happens every single day. Whether it's a car wreck or a murder or what, I mean, just shit happens.
Yeah,
in big towns.
But it might not be trauma related as much in Wichita Falls.
No. One thing about it, what you're teaching is is going to go on forever, because we've had serial killers from or shit
You'll
like that.
You'll always have new material.
Yeah, that's true.
Jack the Ripper, was he part of the royal family?
That's a tough one to cover because there's not. I don't know.
They still don't really know.
Yeah, and I don't know how.
The grapes is what gets me on that, because all the victims ate grapes.
No.
He would give them
that's
grapes.
Not part of the Johnny
we don't
Depp
even
movie?
go over that.
Jack the Ripper.
Case.
Do what now?
Is that not just part of the Johnny Depp movie that you're talking about? Is that factual?
I don't even know if I've seen the movie. No, when you read about it, they figured it was a wealthy person because he gave them grapes. And only rich people had access to grapes then. And they would be prostitutes they would kill. They'd always have grapes in their system. So they figured it was some rich guy was like, hey, here's some grapes, and they would kill him.
Yeah, we don't cover that.
Is this a movie deal or is it true, Andy?
I'm trying to find it. Here.
Movies can damn sure make things bigger than they are, but they sure do follow history on a lot of things.
A lot of things they do, yeah.
I mean, look at the Jetsons. We've got phones now that we're not be able to fly around, but we got phones on our wrist and everything else, just like the Jetsons had.
AI says that's fake.
Well, I don't trust AI much because I've noticed AI has been wrong a lot lately.
Jack the Ripper case did not all involve grapes. The association with grapes comes from a single, somewhat dubious claim made by grocer Matthew Packer, who said he sold grapes to both Stride and the murderer. However, he later told police he hadn't seen anything suspicious. The canonical 5 murders, wildly attributed to Jack the Ripper, do not mention grapes as a common element.
How many people did he kill? I mean, I don't think it was like in just a huge amount, was it?
You keep that's what you do. You have me answer one question and then well, how many did you do? So now I gotta go look for something else. I can't just
If we get to the next level of podcast, we're about as high as we get. The next level, when we start getting big money from sponsors, we can hire someone to sit in here and be on the computer and
look up
shit for us.
It says canonical.
I'll do
5.
that for you.
It says canonical 5, so I'm assuming it was 5 people.
That's all that they killed.
Yeah, but they were pretty gruesome.
Well, at least still though, that
towards the end
is a famous murder. You'd think it would be more than 5 people.
I think it's just that he got away is what made it so famous.
What's the L.A. hotel that's famous for the murders?
This is what he does. Something totally off topic, and I've got to spit out a name out of my ass.
I was just thinking. I was just curious because we were talking about serial killers.
The one that, where was H.H. Holmes?
Chicago.
That was the doctor, right?
Yes.
And he had
America's first serial killer.
That was the world.
He had like
the World Fair.
World Fair murders.
And the building he had was like a maze, and then they would.
He had chutes like in the wall, or he had like chutes that would take the bodies down into the
incinerator.
The basement. It's called The Devil in the White City. If anybody wants to read that book, I had seen that Leonardo DiCaprio was making a movie about H.H. Holmes. I don't know if he still is or not, but I would be interested to see that. I had to read The Devil in the White City in college, and I don't think I read it. It's still on my shelf.
There's a hotel in Los Angeles that they put the people in the water tank on the roof.
I'm going to have to learn about that one because I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's Los Angeles. And that's where they would just, and the water started tasting funny.
Devil in the White City has been picked
Hotel.
up.
Oh, yes. I did watch, I watched a series on that.
You can still stay there.
Yeah, the Leonardo DiCaprio, and it is the famous director. I can't think of his name. Oh, Martin Scorsese. So it ought to be a good movie.
My favorite one that he did is still The Revenant.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Very good movie.
That's a great story.
That's another. It's brutal. That bear attack scene is. Whew, I don't know how anybody comes back from that. Yeah, Devil in the White City. I need to read that book for the first time.
I'm not a reader, but I did enjoy the story of Hugh Glass. I read that one.
I didn't read this. I just watched The Revenant. So how much of that was fact and fiction?
I think they went pretty well close together.
Right.
But I think even the book was embellished a little bit.
Oh, really? It
was good.
Came from Hugh Glass's accounts, probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I started to go by that fort that was we were going through there 2 years ago. What's the name of that fort that Hugh Glass? What's the other guy's name? What's the other guy? It's Hugh Glass. What's the other guy's name? In The Revenant. What's the other guys? Well, you just said it a minute ago.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you said Hugh Glass and then another guy we talked about.
H.H. Holmes?
No. There's a fort name that Hugh Glass went to there, and I can't think of the damn name of the fort, and it's in Wyoming, around the Green River, I believe. I think it's where he went to after he got...
on his search to find him.
And it's also in the show. What was the show that was just on recently on Netflix that had made the Mormons look like this graphic? It was a great show.
Oh, American Primeval.
Yeah, American Primeval. They go to that fort. What's the guy's name that's fighting with Brigham Young on that? The guy that he kicks him out of the fort or wants to. God dang it.
This is like the battle of memory loss.
We do this all the time.
But that's what he does. He just expects me to have these answers to random shit, and I can only remember so much. I was glad I remembered American Primeval. Yeah. What's the name of this, or what's the name of that? I don't know. You got a laptop just like I do.
Fort Bridger.
Bridger, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. The guy's name, Jim Bridger, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the man I was talking about. Yes, we've went all over. That was a great. Did you like American Primeval? Did you see it?
I haven't seen it.
It's a very, very, very graphic, but it's a very good history lesson. You know, I'm sure they embellished some of it, but it still was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you had to pick a favorite case to is it the OJ trial? Is that the one that you like the most?
I like several of them for different reasons.
Right.
So, I like the Dahmer case.
Yeah, that's another weird one.
I like teaching about that one.
What do you teach about Dahmer? Like, how do you get past? Oh, he's just a crazy guy.
Yeah. The
anatomy part of it, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. So I like anything that deals with bones and things like that. Chemistry. He was using acid to try to dissolve,
break the bodies down.
People. He carried a human skull in a wooden box to his job at the chocolate factory. And it just so happens I have a skull in a wooden box in my classroom. And it's funny. The kids think that's funny that I also have a skull in a wooden box. But that was there before I even came to Iowa Park. So
you just kept it there.
I just have it.
Have you covered any of the Ed Gein case? Because that's you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Albert Fish is, he's a little wild.
Really?
Look up Albert Fish X-ray.
No, don't tell him to look something up. You'll get in trouble.
No, this I don't mind, but whenever she's staying on topic. Oh, wow. What is that?
He enjoyed pain.
Yeah.
And he would put needles
Oof.
In his pelvis?
and this is the one time I used the word taint in my class. I tell
That's
the kids.
a tough sumbitch right there,
I tell
boy.
the kids. I remember that one time Miss Nimetz said taint in class, but he pushed needles up inside of him, and when he was put to death by the electric chair. Can you imagine how that felt? This was after his death.
All the needles were still in there?
They were in him.
Whoa. So he just did that just to get off.
He liked pain.
Wow. Okay, so he's pushing that up. Whoa, how do you get it up that far?
I think once you get it up in there, the more you move, it works
Just
its
kinda
way
works
up.
its way up?
Yeah. But
Wow, how did he not puncture something and bleed to death? That is crazy. But what was his? So is this all like? Did he kill people, or was he just
did.
shoving needles up there?
he did kill. He mutilated a man. He cut the end of his penis off.
Oh.
Put some Vaseline on him, put some gauze around him, gave him, I think it was $10 and sent him on his way, but he was mentally challenged.
Albert Fish was?
No.
Oh, the guy he cut the penis off of?
Yes.
The bobbit.
Yeah, he was different.
29 needles they found in there.
Is he the gray man? He would, I think he had an issue with children. But he cooked kids.
Boy, some sick ass people in the world.
He sent letters to Grace Budd, I think, was one of the victims, and he sent a letter to her parents explaining basically what he did.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
Oh, yeah, it is Albert Fish is the gray man. Right. Yeah.
Oh, you would probably enjoy the website Murderpedia.
Murderpedia.
He's got all murders on there.
Yeah,
Is John Benet Ramsey on there?
She's not on Murderpedia, but
That's the case we have forgotten about as a country.
yeah.
Who do you think did it?
Oh.
The
I don't
dad
know.
or the brother?
I feel like it has to be somebody on the inside.
I think so too.
because she was in the basement the whole time, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Didn't the dad die finally the other day or something? I thought I read that the dad or the mom died.
I didn't
They'll
hear that.
never find out who did that, I don't think.
I don't
But
think
it
so.
has to be.
It has to be somebody on the inside.
And that may be just one of them cold cases that there really was nothing to go by, or somebody really screwed up in the Denver PD.
I don't know.
I'd heard it was the brother, and that the parents saw it and
Covered for him.
kind of covered for him.
I've heard that before too.
Yeah.
Has to be family. There's no way someone from the outside, because it was I can't even remember. Was the body missing or was it in the basement?
No, she was found in the basement.
In the basement dead. Yeah.
with a garrote or something around, right?
Yeah, I think
She was
so.
strangled.
Paintbrush or something was used to,
Strangled her.
tighten the rope.
You know, we talk about all the serial killers that we know about. Can you imagine the Mexican drug cartels, the guys that they've got working for them, that have killed thousands and thousands? And I mean, they do everything from, where they put them in a vat with acid and chop them up and put them in there where there's nothing left. It just eats everything. There are some sick people in this world that do this shit.
There are.
I mean, we're talking big time extremes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten more paranoid since you started teaching this class? Like you said, you're always packing now. Is that something that you did before, or now that you see everything, you're kind of like, I better take care of myself?
I've been a outdoorsy, gunsy girl for most of my life, but I've always been, put me with my back against the wall, let me see my exits.
Right.
But I do think that it's maybe gotten a little bit worse or better. I don't know however you want to look at it.
Have you ever pulled your gun out where you got scared? Like heard a noise or anything?
No. Well, I mean, at home, I guess.
I've gone to the door a couple times.
Andy, you don't even count. I've seen you at a haunted house with your wife. You put your wife first, so you don't get attacked.
Jeff, we've gone over this. If you watch any scary movie, they come from the back. That's where I was.
Yeah. We had a lady in town that had some issues, and she went to Andy's house one night.
I just love how you're always picking on me.
I'm not picking on you. It's a true story, so it's not picking. It's just being on. Am I lying about this?
No, but you like talking about it.
It's very interesting. So anyway, she goes to Andy's. She goes to Andy's house. Was it late at night even?
Yes, very late.
Well, how late? Like 10 o'clock?
I was asleep.
Anyways.
We were all asleep.
She's banging on the doors and shit.
Ringing the doorbell. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. So I'm like, oh, shit. So it's late enough. Yeah, it was past midnight. So I grabbed my pistol and I'm going to the front door because if you're coming at me like that, I'm going to have protection. And then all of a sudden I hear my wife scream, "She's in our window."
Oh my God.
So I about face really quickly. I'm thinking because it was like springtime, the weather was really nice, so we were sleeping with our windows open. So when I heard she's in our window, I thought she'd kicked the screen in and was coming in the window. But we've got this big bay window in our bedroom, and my wife had pulled the curtains back, and she's like, because you can if you look far enough, you can kind of see the front door. So my wife is like this, trying to see it, and this lady just whoop.
Scared the shit out of you.
Right,
no.
Right in her face.
No.
So that's what she said. She's in our window. So I turn around, I go into the bedroom, and she's like, "You gotta let me in. You gotta let me in. They're after you. They're after me. They're after me." I said, "I'm gonna call the cops." She said, No. Those are the ones that are after me. Don't call them. So
you imagine looking at your window and someone looking at you? That would scare the piss out of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jeff gives me shit for.
Well, this was an ongoing thing that happened for about 2 weeks because my friend Fred Ledesma, Big Chicken, he calls me one morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. Or my phone goes off and Michelle goes, "Who in the hell is texting or calling at 4 a.m.?" I'm like, "It's Fred." I go, "He asked me who's on his front porch." I'm like, "What?" So I call him. I'm like, "What do you mean who's on your front porch? Get your ass out of bed and go look." He goes, "Did you see that picture?" I go, "What?" His picture is the same lady.
Oh,
I go, "Well, go
stringy ass hair, like hair out to here. Not good.
Go answer your fucking door." He goes, "We're at Broken Bow." He goes, "This just come across my phone on my deal." He goes, "Who is that?" And I looked at it and I knew who she was. I said, "I'll call." I might have been mayor still too and judge. But anyways, I called her cop and I said, "Hey," I said, "this lady's name," and she's up Fred's. He goes, "Thank God." He said, "I've been looking for her. She's going up and down these streets trying to get in these houses." And so it was like this went on like Andy's older neighbor.
She was a serial knocker.
Andy's neighbor. She got in his house.
Yes,
and him and the police chief couldn't get her out. She was running around.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways, Jesse, I feel sorry for Jesse. I don't feel sorry for Andy because Andy was going to make Jesse get up. And sure enough, Jesse had to get up and go look out the window.
Jesse's the one that found her. I didn't even find her.
But can you imagine pulling your curtain back and there's a face looking at you?
No.
Oh, that would be the end of me right there. I'd have had a heart attack myself.
When she said she's in the window, I was like, I'm going to have to shoot somebody. Like I had made the decision up because we didn't know who it was, obviously, but like
if someone's coming in your house, you got every right to do that.
They're coming in my house. Like I'm about to have to, the shit's about to hit the pavement here.
Yeah.
But I
had I didn't shoot at a guy. I shot one time. Me and Michelle had lived in the house we live in now about a year or something. And I was having a problem with the guy. He was harassing people at the hospital and he was peeping in windows and shit and making noises and shit. It just around people's house. Well, one night Payne was a baby, and he started crying. And Michelle's like, oh, he's teething, I bet. So she got up with him. It's her job. She's a woman. She had him. So I'm in bed, and I hear, and she goes, Jeff, come here, help me a minute. She goes, I'm going to hold him. I want you to hold him upside down, and she's going to rub Orajel or something in his gums. I was okay. So I'm upside down. All of a sudden, something hits his window, just bam, almost broke it. And I was like, what the fuck? So I give her the pain, and I go outside in that room. Instead of getting a pistol, I grabbed a shotgun. I had like a single shot 12 gauge there by the bed. Grabbed it, walked out our back door, and there was a guy standing at our pampas grass, which is 10 yards from the window. And a few choice words, and he took off running. And I cocked that gun back, his old single shot shotgun. I cocked that gun back, and I pointed right in his back, and I pulled it off to the side about 10 yards, and I shot, pow! And that sucker hit the cable tire across the little building. But I had number 3 two shot in it. I thought I had bird shot in it. And so anyways, I called the cops, and my neighbor comes out. What's going on? I said, some guy was peeping Tom, I guess. So anyways, cop called. He said, you sure you didn't shoot him? I said, no. He said, well, I'm going to call the emergency room. I said, well, if he's emergency room, it's because he shit his pants. It ain't because I shot him. I said, I could have shot him if I wanted to. So
you'd have gone to jail.
I didn't shoot him, though.
You would have gone to jail. If you'd have shot him,
running away from me? Oh, yeah. I would have.
Shoot him in the back?
Yeah, I would have gotten in trouble.
You don't want to do that.
No, there's no doubt I would have gotten in trouble.
In the yard, like not even in the house? Like
he was out of our yard when I shot even.
I
know, but all I did was shoot to scare him.
He won't come back.
No, we didn't have no more problems after that. But I shot to scare him, and I'm sure I did a good job, but I didn't realize when we hit that building. It's like, shit, I didn't realize. I thought I just had some little eight dove loads in here. But I didn't want to shoot him. I didn't want to. Yeah. You would have to really, really, if it's just me, really threatening me for me to want to shoot you. I mean, if I walked outside and I saw a guy breaking into my truck at night, I don't think I could shoot him.
No.
In my backyard, if he was in my barn going through shit, I don't think I could shoot him. You try to get in my house, I'll shoot your ass.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want that on my conscience for the rest of my... Kid was 16, 17 years old. I mean, I think he ended up going to prison for long. He's been in and out of trouble, but I wasn't going to be the one to make that choice.
Right.
And I got through what I want. But I wasn't going to make my wife go do it. Like Andy, it would have been Jesse outside with a gun.
No mercy.
Well, I mean, when Jesse told me that story, I could just picture you running around in your whitey tighties with a gun and her opening the window, and there's that lady sitting there looking at her face to face. I was like, oh, mighty.
I was a little bit like Don Knotts, just kind of everywhere. I have this pistol, and where do I need to go? Are there two of them? Is this a distraction, and they're really about to come in the front door? You got a lot of thoughts whenever you're going like that.
My dad was friends with a guy that lived in one of the little towns right north of Dallas, Salina, Pilot Point, one of them. Mm-hmm. And they had a guy that was breaking into houses on football games on Friday nights, which really makes sense because you go to a small town.
Police are there.
Friday nights, especially an out-of-town game. Because if you got an out-of-town game, there's nobody in town except the local police department. And they're not out doing nothing because it's a quiet night. And when I say a small town, I'm talking 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people. You get town 10,000, don't matter. But these little towns like where we live on a Friday night, if you got a good football team, on a travel night, or even in town, everybody's at that game. So in town, the games, the cops are there. Anyways, this guy's sick. He had tonsils or something taken out, so he stayed home. Everybody's at the game, and he's laying on the sofa, sleeping, kind of half-ass. Sees a guy walking in his backyard. Gets a gun. Sits back down on the sofa, waiting. Guy comes over the door, kicks the door in, walks in the door, and got shot and killed him.
Wow.
He killed the guy, and that's what the guy was doing. The guy was robbing homes, and this kid's son played football, and he couldn't go to the game that night, but they figured what he was doing was driving around and seeing the signs in the yard, football
and picking
signs.
Those.
And that's where I'm going to hit that house. But he was robbing houses on Friday night football games.
Wow.
And the guy shot him, but it was in his house, so he wasn't going to get in trouble. But I would, I would hate to have to make that choice.
Absolutely.
That would be a terrible, terrible choice to have to make.
I was ready.
That lady would have whooped your ass.
Once I started thinking clearly.
That was the funniest story, though. I'm serious.
Why'd you think so?
I heard a noise one night, another time in the backyard, and I took the gun out. And I thought, God, I hope I don't find nobody back here. And then I just recently read about a guy somewhere had somebody in his backyard. He went outside to confront him, and they shot and killed him. Yeah. So take your gun.
Yeah.
If they're in your backyard, shoot them and drag them in the house.
Yep. All right, let's get out of here.
Yep, it's been a really good time. I've enjoyed listening to you. You have a great story. I mean, your class is amazing. My last thing before I give her, have you ever thought about doing like a nighttime class for adults? Because I'm sure you're getting hit up on this a lot.
I get a lot of people saying, "Can I sit in your class?"
Have you thought about that seriously? Like doing a summertime course for like 4 weeks? I know your time is your time, and you like to play golf and do your thing.
I do,
but it would be a good football coaches make all kinds of extra money on the side putting on football camps. I can't
never
imagine.
thought about it.
Have like a murder camp.
Yes.
Yeah, like a CSI.
adults. Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
Would you do one out here if we did like 2 nights, do 2 days
Oh God,
or 3?
Now
I'm
you got
serious.
the whole thing.
No, I would you do that? Like
Yeah.
and charge people to come out here and do it? Because I think we could get 30 people to come do that.
I'll bring my blood spatter booth. I built a blood spatter booth, and we'll do blood spatter.
I really think that there's a camp that we could do next summer out here. I think that people would love to do. There are a lot. I'm telling you, and it's mostly women. I think women are more in tune with this than men are.
I think so.
You know, except for Andy and OJ.
Oh, I love an OJ trial.
Let's talk.
Have you watched the
I'm serious.
staircase?
We
Have you
will
watched
do
the
that.
staircase on Netflix? It's got a lot of blood splatter.
I have.
In it.
Yeah, I've watched some of that.
Didn't we have that detective on?
Yeah, we had the detective that worked the case. Killed her with a fire poker or something. But anyway, the blood splatter became
over,
big evidence.
I didn't do the Murdaugh deal. I didn't get into all that.
Oh.
But there's some changes in that coming up now, isn't there? Didn't something happen?
Love that case.
Yeah.
Didn't just recently something else broke about that?
Court reporter. There was an issue with the court reporter, and I think they're going to try to get him off on whatever the court reporter did.
I wanted to get Bubba Daniels on here. Or McDaniels. Is it McDaniels? McDaniels. I want to get him on the podcast. I talked to him the other day, and his son was murdered in Wichita. It's a big high profile case there. He was a UFC fighter and stuff. And the guy that killed him, he's out right now over a technicality.
Is he out?
I think he's out. I think he's like running around till they have a trial again.
Holy
for him.
cow.
And he's got enough money, and his family does put him on a jet flight, and he'll end up in South America or somewhere. But from what I understand, he is out.
Wow.
Like walking the streets now. And I may be wrong on that, but I know that they declared a mistrial on it, and we're going to have to redo it all over. And I just cannot believe that you can kill a child
And have all that evidence.
and then you're going to get a mistrial done, and they're going to convict him again probably, but he's going to get a year or 2 of freedom again. And if I had his means, he is a piece of shit. If I had his means, I would be gone and never come. You'd never see me again.
Yeah.
The Murdaugh case, was that just a fit of rage? Or was he planning on killing her?
I think that it all had to do with covering up.
That's right.
And distraction from the boat accident.
I forgot about the boat incident.
I think it was let me get this done and over my way, and that was kind of a way to distract from all of that.
He killed his wife and his son. Is that what it was? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen it.
The wife and the son. There was a lot of ballistics in that case. Watching Kenny Kinsey, I think was the detective's name that worked the ballistics, and that was really interesting. You can look up his testimony.
Because it was the boy that was involved in the boat accident.
Yes.
He killed somebody on the boat accident? A girl?
All the friends were on the boat. He was drunk. They tried to get him to not drive.
Right.
But he insisted and then ran the boat into like a pillar on a bridge. And one of the girls died from that. And there was going to be, a lawsuit over that.
So why did he kill the wife? Was she was
I think
just a
she
witness?
was just there.
She was home.
Not good.
Rich, spoiled kids and ghetto kids, equally dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Now we get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.
God
Bye.
bless. Bye.